welcome to Biters, and you just heard Smalls whining in the background.
Oh, and this is Marnell, and I'm really sorry, Bob. A bite's a bite.
I had something really clever from the show to say, and I totally forgot what it was and didn't write it down, and then got distracted by my pacing, whining dog. So.
Oh, see, I thought you got distracted because we've been talking for the last half hour about Roomba vacuums.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Figured I'd talk about that in Housewives Housekeeping Corner, literally.
Oh, this episode not sponsored by Roomba, but it should be.
Only not sponsored by Roomba because we're not interesting enough to have sponsors. Oh my god, the ridiculous dog is going to whine for the entire episode. Even though I did let them out before we started. That's what happens when you live in a 2-room cabin. It is what it is. No more Podcast Central. But I'm on my own, and that's good.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we're not here to talk about my dog. We're not here to talk about my divorce, and we are going to talk about vacuums a little bit. So what are we here to talk about, Marnell?
Dead Set, episode 3. Finally.
3. Yeah, I got kind of guilt-tripped back into it, not in a bad way, by Steve and Diana saying, we hope you finish it up. So...
Right. And, we were kind of in kind of a podcast lull, and we podcasted with Steve and Diana from Aim for the Head last Saturday. So the episode should be up before this episode is up.
Or right around the same time.
Yeah, right around the same time.
Yeah.
And we talked about, a whole lot of things. We talked for 4 hours.
No, we actually only talked with them for 3. You and I had an hour together before we talked with them because the 4 of us can't tell time.
I know. Yeah, time zones are a mystery because time isn't real after COVID.
I was doing something today and I was thinking about you and Steve talking about the before times, and I was like, yep, the before times. I miss those.
Times. Yep. Oh my gosh, you said you weren't going to get any phone calls during the episode.
So instead you're getting them?
Here I'm getting a phone call, and I will bet
it's our mother.
What's up?
It's got to be our mother.
Oh, no. It's politics season. Yeah, they totally have my number. I
don't know how I've missed those. Knock on wood, and I am sitting at a wood desk, but I'm glad.
It's because every once in a while I actually do answer and I talk to somebody. And yeah, so I sometimes I take polls and stuff like that because I work for Health and Social Services. They do health polls or health, questionnaires, that kind of thing. And because I work there, I do, opt in to answer those. And so I'm sure I'm on a ton of lists.
Well, I send enough money and answer enough polls that I should be on a ton of lists, and I'm glad I'm not, so. All right, so.
We talked to Steve and Diana about the next 7 episodes, our thoughts are in the next 7 episodes, and the rest of the Walking Dead universe going forward. So it was a super, super fun episode.
It was a jam-packed episode of Aim for the Head.
It was a lot of fun. If when it gets posted, we will repost it to the Biters page, and it's a must listen. It was super fun.
Okay, so give me your rating for Dead Set episode 3.
This is one of my favorite episodes. When we last podcasted, I knew what was coming with this episode just based on what had happened in the last episode. And so I gave it a 4.5 napkins.
I actually rated mine a little bit higher, but
oh, wow.
Used a related rating system. So I rated it 4.53 honey buckets out of 5.
Oh.
And for those of you who have never lived off-grid in rural Alaska, a honey bucket does not contain honey.
What's funny is I never actually understood, like, I didn't know what a honey bucket was until I was actually in Bellevue, Washington at a cousin's Little League game. And I just happened to notice that the company that was providing the outhouses was called Honey Buckets. Like, I swear ours are like off-brand up here. Like, I don't think ours are actually named Honey Buckets, are they?
No, I'm talking about a real bucket, darling.
Oh.
Because if you've never lived off-grid in rural Alaska, which I have, it's a real bucket.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, and with people living off-grid more and more, you'll see YouTubers doing van life and, you know, doing live aboard boats or living out of their SUV or whatever. And yeah, that's, I mean, they do make toilet seats for Home Depot buckets. Just saying.
All right, I have a few numbers. Actually, I only have a couple of numbers. So which have been assuming all along are same day views for this episode were a little over 800,000, which is down about 200,000 from last episode. You know, again, not terrible.
No.
It would be nice to know kind of what it got in rewatch and all of that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I don't know how numbers were tracked in the before times, so especially in Britain in the before times. So
yeah.
And then our title is live feed, which of course refers to the fact that they are actually still getting a live feed from the Big Brother house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I also think that there's kind of that play on words of they're feeding on things.
Yeah.
You know?
They're feeding on live things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not say anything about our writer and director because they haven't changed from the very first podcast that we did about this series.
Yeah, that's a little difficult. I think it's just going to kind of be the same going forward.
Yeah, so same writer and director. Go back to our episode a couple of episodes ago if you're interested. But our featured cast is the actor who played Grayson.
Yes. And I really wanted to do Grayson in this episode because he dies this episode.
You just wanted to make me say the actor's name.
Did you not watch the YouTube video interview with him?
I watched one about a particular production that he was in, but they did not say his name out loud, so I'm going to let you say his name.
His name is Raj Gatek.
Okay, I would have gotten Raj right, but I would have blown the last name. So
thank you for the YouTuber Dream Jobbing for doing 5 questions with Raj Gatek. Because some of my information about our featured cast member does come from that YouTube station. So thanks to them.
Well, I would say go for it, and I will plug in the handful of things that you may not have looked at.
So I will say that all of his acting credits are not on IMDb because he is very big on stage. Mm-hmm. And so he always wanted to be an actor from the time that he was little. His father is a doctor and his mother is a scientist, but he said that art was always in his home. That, you know, there was always, you know, music and art and theater and things like that in his home. And his mother actually used to take him and his sister to an acting school that was attached to an agency that would, you know, pick the best actors out of the school and find them work. And so he actually did stage and commercials as a child, but those aren't credited at all on his IMDb. I couldn't find, he talks about it on 5 Questions with, on Dream Jobbing, but it's not really credited anywhere. So like I said, all of his work is not credited on IMDb. So, but he didn't think when he was growing up, he didn't think he could make a living at it because he never saw someone like himself on the small screen or the big screen. And so he actually went 3 years to school for osteopath.
Really?
Yes.
So an osteopath, I don't know if their licensure is similar in the UK, but in the States, an osteopath and an MD, they can do the same things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I've actually worked with a couple of different osteopaths in emergency medicine, and they were great.
Yeah, I was just talking to Diane. I messed up my back last week, and my chiropractor was out all week last week.
Which is very different from an osteopath.
Right. And so that was one thing. That's one of the things that's actually majorly Googled when you look up osteopath is osteopath and chiropractor's the same thing. And so, reading the differences between the two, osteopaths are legit doctors. Like they can go and they can do surgery. They can, prescribe medicines,
but they have that additional training of
musculoskeletal
manipulation and therapy that MDs don't have.
Yep.
I swear to God, one of the best adjustments I ever got was from an osteopath.
Yeah. And so I was just like, oh man, now I need to see if there's osteopaths in this town.
Sorry, we're completely derailed. So Raj studied to be an osteopath.
Yeah, and he was really interested in it because it is such an interesting science, but his heart wasn't in it, and he said that he was really just miserable. He's like, it was interesting, but my heart wasn't in it. And so he talked to his parents about, I really want to act. And so after 3 years of school, and I don't know what the schooling is in England versus the US. If you look online, it can be anywhere from 1 to 7 years. And I can't believe they could be qualified after 1. So I'm going to say maybe he only had a year or 2 left of school.
I would assume it's pretty much like a traditional MD path. I mean, I would assume that you have a pre-med program, which is 4 years. Then you have medical school, which is another 4 years. And then you have a residency.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming it's very... So it takes 11 to 12 years to become a doc.
Okay, maybe he wasn't that close to the end. But after 3 years, he decided to just try his luck at acting again, and he landed a role with the with Andrew Lloyd Webber's Bollywood Bombay Dreams.
So I was reading about that because I'm completely dating myself, but I am a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan, and it's based on, it looks like a novel by somebody, so it's not actually an Andrew Lloyd Webber original, but he produced it.
Right.
But yeah, he got the lead, and it was it was a musical, so this guy is multi-talented. Dance, voice, acting, singing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, stereotypical Bollywood, right?
No, I'm talking about the actor. I mean, he is multi-talented.
Right. And so from there, his career kind of got off the ground. He's been in a bunch of stuff that I think people would recognize. He was in the movie Birthday Girl with Nicole Kidman. He was in was it two episodes of Taboo? So, do you recognize that series?
Isn't it a series about people doing weird things? It's a documentary series about...
Okay, I think that probably is correct, but this is actually a series with Tom Hardy.
Oh, so I have friends who are giant Tom Hardy fans, and I'm only not, because it just is not really generally my genre. So...
It just looked really interesting. One of the things Tom Hardy, his character is he plays him very gritty. Tom Hardy is an actor who is kind of known for being super handsome, but he's I don't really like being a pretty boy. I'm not afraid to get a scar on my face from a fight,
Which, by the way, Raj has a very distinctive scar on his lip. Just saying.
He does. And I couldn't find where that came from. Could you?
No, I couldn't, but it just adds
Okay.
to the appeal.
Yeah, I specifically looked for it because I was like, oh, that's like, it's one of those things where it's just, it's interesting. It makes him interesting. Um, so he's done a bunch of episodes of the British soap opera EastEnders. And God, he was in something else, and I cannot find it for the life of me. But he is in a current TV series that is actually filming, because they have opened up a lot more over there than we have, because I think they were a little more diligent about their lockdowns and maybe wore masks more often, but we won't go there. But the series that he is currently in is called Ghosts, and it's a group of spirits that restlessly squabble in an abandoned country home.
Oh, I was actually really curious about that.
It looks super interesting. It looks funny. So far there's 9 episodes, I believe. But it has 3 seasons between 2019 and 2020, because British series are kind of funny that way. But he also does a lot of voice work. He does a lot of, they call them radio. I don't know if they're actually played on the radio. I think they're kind of just more like podcasts.
No, so actually they do still do radio dramas for the BBC.
Right. And the thing that stuck out to me was Doctor Who and Torchwood, which Torchwood is kind of a offshoot of Doctor Who. So those things really stuck out to me. And he is someone who reads audiobooks. So if you listen to audiobooks, you may come across something he's read before. So I thought that was interesting because I'm getting into audiobooks now. So
because your commute is so long. I know I keep saying that, but
right. It's literally to the bed, to the coffee pot, to my office. But no, like my guilty pleasure now is the palace intrigue with all the White House political insiders.
Have you finished Rage?
I haven't finished Rage.
I was just curious to know what your take was if you'd finished it. And I said on the last podcast, and we're not going to get uber political, you guys, so don't worry. But I said on the last podcast that I'm kind of done buying White House intrigue books and then getting halfway through them and not finishing them. So I'm not buying Rage. I'm not intending to buy Rage.
I have finished 2 political books, but I'm about maybe a quarter of the way through Bob Woodward's book, Rage. And this is one I kind of wanted to focus on. The other 2 were kind of like fluff. This is kind of a more serious one. And so I kind of have a hard time actually doing my work and focusing on that. So today I was actually reading an instruction manual on our cost allocation system. So
that sounds so fun.
Yeah. So I was not playing an audiobook today.
I'm sure I would stay wide awake for that one.
But Raj Katek does read audiobooks, and he does have a very pleasant voice. And it's not too dissimilar to his character Grayson. But the funny thing is, so if you go on his Raj's Instagram, it's beautiful. He is a big foodie. But he's actually recently posted a couple of throwback photos. And I say recently as in the last couple of years, because Dead Set was a while ago. He posted a photo of him when we first see him on the show, when he's wearing the headdress and all the makeup and everything. And he was like, I spent hours in the makeup chair. I was just like, oh man, if you only knew what women go through every day.
So I will have to say he has his own website. It's rajgatek.com, and his headshots are so lovely to look at. He's kind of an Indian David Duchovny.
Right. I believe I saw it somewhere. He's Pakistani.
Okay.
He was born in England, but his heritage is Pakistani. Yeah. But I love his silver black hair. Mm-hmm. He's beautiful.
He's very, very nice to look at. Scar and all.
Exactly. So the one other thing that I wanted to add, and you can add something after this, but I always try to find a charity or a cause.
Oh, good.
So he actually did a short commercial a couple of years ago for something called International Sava Day, and Sava spelled Sawa, but it's pronounced like with a V.
Huh.
And it's actually, and I tried to find Sava Day 2020, but it actually occurs at multiple times a year. There's multiple Sava days a year, and the word means basically to do hard labor, good deeds or something. And it's basically a day that you do a good deed without the expectation of a reciprocation.
Nice.
Yeah. So like, just pay for the person's behind you's coffee, or something like that.
Or rescue a dog. Or three. Sorry.
Because heaven knows that, there's no reciprocation.
That is so true. Oh my God.
No respect for you.
All right. Hang on just a sec. You guys. Hey. We're talking here. And we're back. That commercial break was sponsored by Nylabone and Rachel Ray Nutrish. Let's just say.
So I already have a corrections corner from 5 minutes ago.
Okay, good. Because, I'm still eating crow for apologizing for my dogs being jerks. So,
Sava Day is SEWA, not SAWA. And it is short for Kar Seva, which is Sanskrit, Kar meaning hands of work, and Seva meaning service.
Okay.
So
I have to Google what we were talking about because I know a group called Siva International. Oh, wait. So
it's an International Day of Volunteering.
No, so I know the group Siwa International. So Siwa International is a Hindu faith-based humanitarian nonprofit organization.
Interesting.
Huh.
So
okay.
This is a day inspired by the concept of self-service, which is a very Buddhist concept.
No, not self-service, self-sacrifice.
Selfless service. Okay. Sorry, selfless service. Good Lord. So I am drinking...
Correction upon correction upon correction.
It's because I switched to hard alcohol tonight because I've been taking muscle relaxants all week, and tonight I'm not taking a muscle relaxant. And then you texted me a picture of what you were drinking, so I'm like, I need vodka.
Okay, so this is already a little bit of a dip into Housewives housekeeping, but I am drinking a drink called Kinky Pink, which is basically a bottle of vodka infused with blood orange, passion fruit, and mango.
Which sounds delicious. So
I found I was telling Marnell a recipe for boozy Shirley Temples, which I am going to try.
So that inspired me to break into my completely random assortment of alcohols.
Oh, that's right. And what you're drinking sounds atrocious, but you assure me it's not.
It's not. So I'm like, what do I have and what do I make? What can I make? So I am drinking coconut LaCroix with cinnamon twist vodka. And it's actually really delicious. I said it smells like tanning oil, but it's actually really good.
Yeah. Ew. All right. Do you have anything else you want to say about Raj? Because I do have a couple of things.
Nope. Go right ahead.
So he got an award for playing Amir in the stage production of Kite Runner, which I have to tell you, that book was amazing.
Of course you read the book.
Of course I read the book, and it was amazing. So, I just have to say I would give just about anything to see him play the main character from that book in a stage play.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say is that he also had the lead in a movie called Miss Mina and the Masala Queens. Or maybe it was, actually, I think it was a stage production. And it was written specifically for him, and it was about an Indian man who is a drag queen.
Oh.
And I found like a 3-minute interview with him and some of the other cast members, and it showed a little bit of the choreography from the production, and it looked so good that I would give at least a great toe and probably both to see that production on the stage, because he's just wonderful.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I remembered the movie that I was trying to find him in. He's been in some movies that have been with some big Hollywood heavy hitters. So he was in Starter for 10, a British comedy with James McAvoy and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, yeah, I did see that he had acted with quite a number of big names.
Mm-hmm. And he was just recently in Christopher Robin with Ewan McGregor, who I love.
And have you watched that?
I was not interested in Christopher Robin.
I haven't seen it, but I am thinking that he did some voice work in it.
Yeah, I think so. So it's just sort of not my genre of movie. I'm not a big Winnie the Pooh fan. The only character I like from Winnie the Pooh is Eeyore.
Of course.
Of course. But Winnie the Pooh is just like, Tigger's annoying, Winnie's, and it's not for me. 0 stars, not for me.
No good, very bad, do not recommend. I don't know if we can quite say that about Christopher Robin, considering that neither of us has watched it, but
right,
yeah,
exactly.
There we go.
Exactly.
On to Whisperer's Corner?
Sure.
Okay, so the thing that I absolutely wanted to make sure I started Whisperer's Corner with, and you kind of talked about it already, but we did a very extensive conversation around season 10 and season 11 of Walking Dead and the announced ending of Walking Dead as a series. So I would highly recommend going and listening to the Aim for the Head podcast. Not just because we covered that extensively there, but because Dianne and Steve are awesome.
They are.
So yeah, if you want to know the Biters' thoughts on Walking Dead ending, you are going to have to cross over and listen to Aim for the Head. So please do that if you have not done already. Subscribe, give them a like, give them a good review. It's worth it. It's worth your time.
Yeah, and don't mind them griping about the Fear the Walking Dead cast so much.
Oh, come on. We do it too.
If you give them a review, just don't mention that.
The two of us are on exactly the same page that they are.
Right?
Well, maybe not exactly, because I think Steve would be fine with Madison coming back, and I'm not sure if you'd be fine with that. But
actually, I would. After this last couple of seasons.
No, after the last season, because season 4 was good.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, the whole. Yeah. After
it was season 5 that blew.
When Alicia was a badass again, it was good. But and then I watched Deadwood, and yeah, I would be okay if Madison woke up after the dam explosion and everything after that had been a fever dream.
She almost drowned when the dam exploded, and I mean, recovering from a drowning is a very serious thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that she had lots of, terrible visions while she was recovering from the drowning. So, hopefully that's what season 6 is going to tell us.
Mm-hmm. And, they could even bring Nick back if they did that.
Oh. And they could put Morgan back on the main show.
Oh, my God. We should write.
I had this fantasy that I ended up in Texas, but really I was just lost in the trash heap.
Right?
And I found Dwight in the trash heap, too. It was so weird.
Dwight found me and pulled me out of my fever dream.
And his wife was there, and it was wonderful.
The end.
Oh, my God.
If
All
only
right.
Steve and Diana were here to commiserate with us.
Right. Okay, so onward in Whisperer's Corner. So, the rest of this is a little bit spoilery, so if you don't want to have kind of light spoilers about Walking Dead World Beyond and Fear, you might fast forward about 5 minutes. So I found several things that were some reviews of World Beyond. And it was really interesting. It was pretty much split 50-50. This is a great series, and it's dead on arrival.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there were heated feelings on both sides.
Right. Not much in the middle.
The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference.
So I did find out more information about this series, so that's what's kind of spoilery. It focuses on two sisters. Their names are Iris and Hope. It's about 10 years past the beginning of the apocalypse. So right around the time that we first meet this current incarnation of Judith.
Mm-hmm.
The settlement that our sisters are from is in Nebraska. The settlement that CRM is associated with is in Portland. And the conflict that the sisters are kind of dealing with is that their father gets traded to the settlement in Portland for some kind of like security or certainty negotiation. So we already know that CRM is not the group that they are with. That CRM is a group that they are in conflict with, or at least to a certain degree are in conflict with. And CRM is on the West Coast.
Interesting.
So the same review that gave me that information, it was in Variety, and it was generally a positive review of the series. But they did say that there are times when the undead look cheap. Those are their words, look cheap. And I thought, ooh, I wonder if Greg Nicotero is doing the effects for this. And then they said that the rules that apply to the undead in this world are very loosely applied in A World Beyond.
Well,
so those were their gripes.
I'm super interested because, you know, we've always talked about eventually you're going to run out of hordes of zombies, you know, because everything decays to a point that, like, it's just going to go away. And 10 years is a really long time for a body that's exposed to the weather, that's shambling around and not regenerating any of its cells, to stick around. So there's not going to be lots of zombies. There may still be zombies because you have, like, you know, random settlements collapsing or people who've survived up until now, like, you know, tripping and hitting their head and dying and you know, dying of starvation or flu or whatever. So you're going to have the errant zombie, but you're not going to have the hordes like we see in the shows we watch now.
Well, and it sounds like the zombies, at least initially, are just kind of a bother.
Yeah.
And not scary.
Yeah. Like, if they look cheap, like, I'm like, okay, does that just mean it's like bad prosthetics or...
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and they can't say that it was COVID and reduction in production quality because of COVID because they had it all wrapped before the pandemic was declared.
There was a, I think it was part of the teaser trailer or something that we saw like a freaking year ago, I swear, where they have these zombies that like have, like, I think it's like some sort of like mushroom or
oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
I want to say bear bread, and I don't know if everybody knows what bear bread is. It's that fungus that grows off the side of trees. There was a couple of zombies that kind of had like stuff like that growing off of them, and those looked pretty cool. So I can't see the zombies look cheap. So
Yeah, I don't know. And that was the positive review. And then the next review I clicked on was Digital Spy, and they are the ones who called it dead on arrival. So
tell us what you really think.
Right? Now, so this next thing in Whisperer's Corner, you and Steve both need to hold on to your hats. I totally thought of Steve. Fear is going to be introducing Ginny's little sister as a character.
Nothing could be worse than Ginny. That's all I gotta say. Like, I'm gonna be positive. Nothing can be worse than Ginny.
So her name is Dakota. They didn't even spell it right. Dakoda. Dakota.
Oh, trust me, as somebody who worked for a certain
for children's services,
right, like, and saw a ton of children's names. Did you know there's like 7 different spellings for Cheyenne?
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah, and people name their daughters Khaleesi now.
I can believe it.
And there's 2 different spellings of that.
Okay, so little sister Dakota. I'm already nauseated. I'm going to have to take extra Zofran for the series. All right, and then the very last thing, and this is actually a little bit spoilery about season 10, episode 16, A Certain Doom. So Insider reviewed it, and they said it was worth the wait. And the thing that's spoilery is that they guarantee that the Whisperer War is wrapped up in this episode.
Oh, so we kill Beta. Duh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I have for Whisperer's Corner, because we covered a lot with Diana and Steve, so I didn't feel like I wanted to go back into everything.
You know, and I feel like it's more Whisperer's Corner than we've had in months. I mean, we had a lot with our episode with Steve and Diana, but like before that, I feel like we were just like scraping by on Walking Dead news.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, the end of the main series is pretty big news, so that's still kind of got people spinning a bit. Oh, yeah. And I found my episode of my issue of Negan Lives, so I'm finally gonna read it. I'm like, oh, I have 2 boxes that I haven't unbound. Oh, there it is.
Of course, that was in the last place you looked.
Right. So, do you have anything for Whisperer's Corner?
I do not.
Then I'm going to move us into Housewives Housekeeping.
Uh-oh.
So
what do we do?
The very first thing is political, and this is the only thing, well, maybe it's not the only thing political in Housewives, but I just have to say that those of us who contributed to Get Mitch or Die Trying, $22 million.
Oh my God, I checked it yesterday.
So they went from
17.
They went from like 3 million, 3.5 million on Friday morning to the donations that were made in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They went to 22 million as of 5 hours ago. That
is insane. Yeah. And so what's funny about that is the Get Mitch or Die Trying does not even donate to Amy McGrath.
No, it just donates. I think they said they split it between like 14 different Senate candidates.
Which one of the Alaska Senate candidates is one of the candidates that the money goes to. Dr. Alan Gross.
Yes.
Who's running as an independent against Don Young.
Yes, which, you know, regardless of what side of the political fence... No, he's running against Sullivan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Sullivan.
Elise Galvin's running against...
running against...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless of what political fence you sit on, side of the fence you sit on, Alaska's congressional delegation is revolting.
Yeah. Like... Don Young's the poster child
for a dinosaur.
Term limits.
He is. He is such a dinosaur, and he's so revolting, and he's such a homophobe.
He's just like every time Alaska sees him on national news, it's because he's like pushing a reporter out of the way,
or because he has said something completely cringeworthy, and not just cringeworthy if you're a lib like us, just cringeworthy.
Yeah, look up his comments on how the internet works. It's a system of buckets and pulleys.
Unlike the tubes that, what was it, Ted
Yeah.
Stevens was talking about?
Yeah, I think actually, I think he said it was a series of tubes too,
Yeah.
but we joke now that it's like a series of buckets and pulleys.
Okay, the only other, like, vaguely political thing I have in Housewives Housekeeping is that I finally started watching the documentary RBG, excuse me.
RBG.
Which was produced by CNN 2 years ago. And all I have to say is, politics aside, she is my inspiration. That woman never slept.
Yeah.
She raised a child while she was in law school. Her husband got diagnosed with testicular cancer while they were in law school together. So she had a seriously ill husband who could only be treated with radiation because it was the 50s, and a child, and she was at the top of her class, Yale Law Review.
Wow.
I mean, and it goes on. I mean, like, she, like, worked all hours of the night. Like, when she got appointed to the Supreme Court, her husband would show up in the office and be like, honey, it's time to come home for dinner.
She never missed a day of work, basically.
I'm pretty sure, like, she went to work the day after her husband died because she said she knew that's what he would have wanted.
Yeah. And she had been treated for cancer multiple times.
Right.
And she even attended, like, briefings while doing her cancer treatment and after surgeries. And,
but,
she was
the other
reading...
thing is, I mean, I'm watching this little 80-year-old woman doing planks and,
I know,
like, lifting weights and working with a personal trainer. And I thought...
The woman could do more push-ups than me.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm halfway through it and I watched it today and I was like, all right, I could be way stronger emotionally and physically than I am. Thank you, Ruth, for that message.
Right. Okay. Total inspiration.
Yeah. That's my last political thing. That she just, again, regardless of your politics, she was amazing.
I don't know if I had already watched a documentary about her or if I saw the CNN one 2 years ago, but yeah,
oh my God, her work ethic, stunning. I resolved to bitch less and work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the iRoomba Series 7. Oh my God, it is a life changer. Speaking of working harder, not because I'm tired of sweeping up after just 3 dogs. I sucked it up. I bought a new Roomba because I bought a cheap RoboVac like 4 years ago and it never worked worth a darn. And I got it here to the new digs and tried to resurrect it and it wouldn't do a thing. And so I talked to my friends who had this particular Roomba and I was like, really? Is it worth it? And they're like, oh yeah, it's totally worth it. Okay, is it worth it to get the docking station where it empties itself? Yes, it's totally worth it. I am here to tell you, it is totally worth it.
So, like, I think you've actually sold me on a Roomba. Like, if there's, like, some sort of, like, link that you could send me that, like, you get 10% off of your bags forever or whatever.
Oh, my God. This thing, like, toodles around and vacuums, and then it goes, I'm full. I better go empty myself. I don't have to touch a thing.
Like... Yeah.
And yes, there are corners that I have to get that the Roomba doesn't get, but I'm telling you, they are few and far between. And I am not sweeping, right, and I am not sweeping 3 nights a week anymore. I'm not. I'm like, oh, I'm going to press the app on my iPhone and make the Roomba work.
Because you have 3 dogs and you do not trust a Roomba to work when there are possibly wet messes.
That is the one drawback. I do not schedule it to work when I am not home because you never know what it might roll through.
Right.
But and I'm telling you this because if you hack my Roomba, you're just a jerk. So her name is Ubetta, and her password is work, bitch.
Oh, now I'm going to have to name mine like RuPaul or something. Password drag race.
Okay, so I bought some eye makeup from Lady Gaga's company, House Labs, Haus. It is worth every penny. It is amazing. I love it. She's amazing.
Is it on Sephora?
No, I actually bought it on Amazon.
Okay.
But it is totally worth it.
I was going to say, I've been seeing reviews about Selena Gomez's new line with Sephora.
Oh, no, no. If you're going to spend the money on House Labs. Love Stupid is the eye compact I bought, and it's wonderful.
I don't wear makeup anymore. I don't have a commute. I don't have to go into work. Like, I'll wear makeup if I am having
I was going to say something really vulgar that would make me put an explicit label on this, so I won't.
I only wear makeup if I know that I'm going to be turning my camera on for a Zoom meeting that day. And like I was telling Steve and Diana when we were talking about how none of us really actually want to wear masks. We're just doing it to like try and help COVID stop. I found the perfect shade of red lipstick for COVID,
Right.
and it's by Rihanna. It's Fenty, so it's super expensive. And now I have this tube of super expensive, amazing red lipstick that nobody ever sees unless it's on a Zoom meeting.
Which, by the way, I was not particularly enthralled with her lipstick, so you could skip that, but the eye makeup is the bomb. All right, we talked with Steve and Diana a little bit about Lovecraft Country. Steve has watched, I don't think all of it, but most of it. Diana was going to start it. I needed to go back and rewatch because I was doing work during the first episode, and I was like, oh no, this is too good for me to work while I'm watching it. So I started a new knitting project and restarted Lovecraft Country, and it's amazing. The racism is choking. I mean, it's suffocating. But I was thinking, how amazing are these actors and actresses that they are willing to live that generational and personal trauma and share it with us. Plus, there's monsters.
You know, HBO is really bringing it with the history lesson on racism.
I need to get into Watchmen. I really need to get into that.
I really liked Watchmen. I'm so
It got a lot of
disappointed it's not
awards.
continuing.
It got a lot of awards.
Yep.
Oh, you just spoiled it for me. It's only one season. Thanks for the spoiler.
Oh, well, that was news like at some point during COVID. I don't know. Time isn't real. So I finally watched The Outlander.
The Outsider.
The Outsider. I keep calling it The Outlander.
Is the like outrageously soft porn, sexy Scottish Highland thing.
Okay, and
Outsider is the murdery Stephen King thing.
Yes. And when I think Outlander, I actually think of the kid from Children of the Corn yelling it. I don't know why my head goes there.
So funny.
But okay,
yeah,
so the
you know where
Outsider.
my brain goes when you say Outlander, and it is not Children of the Corn. Jamie. Woo!
Scottish softcore porn.
Yep.
So I finally watched it and finished it, and I didn't like it as much as you, Diana, and Steve did. But I will say this: I am listening to Aim for the Head's review of The Outsider, and I really wish I had done episode podcast, because I think I would have liked it more, because the thing that I like most about The Outsider is Aim for the Head's review of it.
Oh, that's really funny. I will say it was Stephen King's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Stephen King.
If you have not watched, I encourage you to watch The Outsider and listen to Aim for the Head's review of it.
But don't do it like Marnell did. Listen to one, listen to one, listen to two, listen to two.
Yep, exactly. That's all I got.
The only other thing I'm going to say is Happy Mabon, which is the autumn equinox. It is the second of the pagan harvest festivals, so happy harvest. This is an appropriate time to pick apples, have apple cider, and just be and just be grateful, because this actually was the Thanksgiving harvest. So,
yeah, that makes more sense than November.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a little bit more reading on it tonight, and it was like, this is the Thanksgiving harvest because really this was a time when farmers actually saw what the final product of their crops was, what the final product of their breedings were. And I thought, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does. So maybe we should just cancel Thanksgiving because we have to have a freaking holiday every month. Make November 3rd or whatever the voting day that, whatever first Tuesday of the month is, our holiday for November.
So I actually practiced with my therapist today about how to get out of family Thanksgiving. I have the words written on a giant sticky note and they're up on my wall. Right now I need to take care of myself. I need some private time right now. Thank you for the invite.
See, and I would just be like, oh, somebody else already invited me. I'm going there. Lie and then stay home and drink.
All right. And on that note, let's do our goods, bads, and uglies because I still have charts to do. So we got to finish this thing.
And we will probably finish this in record time as far as our goods, bads, and uglies.
Because it was like a 23-minute episode.
Yeah, and I loved this episode, but of course I have nothing to say about it because I think it speaks for itself.
Which is why we're like an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So true. So are we starting with me?
Sure.
My good?
Yeah.
And they have been my good before. Pippa and Patrick.
Oh my god. So it's my good too.
The trash can.
Oh my god. So I wrote in giant letters, Patrick is disgusting.
Okay, but what else are you gonna do? I'm not even playing the devil's advocate. I'm not.
But
I'm
the fact that he had such loose, disgusting stools. Yes, I can't believe I'm talking about human feces on the podcast. The fact that he has such loose, disgusting stools is because he eats and drinks like a pig.
I was going to say the only thing he has eaten is the hors d'oeuvres where the hummus was off and he drank an entire bottle of champagne. That's going to give anybody gastro distress.
He's disgusting.
He is.
I am completely aligned with Pippa in this.
Okay, but she is so vapid.
I know she's so vapid, but he's
which is
revolting.
why I love them, is because they completely deserve each other. And I love the part where he's finished, going, and he looks up at the camera and he knows that the voyeuristic, horrible little man in him that has been working all of these years on the Big Brother show and just putting the most embarrassing and vapid things about us out there or the housemates out there, finally he's on the other end of it, and what does he do? He covers his head in shame.
I know, that was so I don't even think he covered his head in shame. I think he just covered his head because he was like, I don't really want to be on camera for this.
Yeah, so I think he kind of covered, he put it over his head and it kind of blocked him wiping himself with a napkin.
Right.
But it was just that little bit of modesty that you don't allow other people. He finally gets it, And I know that the other people signed up for it, but you know what, dude? You kind of signed up for this too.
I did note that perhaps I was so aligned with Pippa because human feces are my kryptonite.
Oh, really?
I have dealt with every body fluid known to man, literally, in the course of my career. Human feces I just cannot do. They just nauseate me.
Okay, we're going to get really disgusting for a minute. Really? That over pus?
Totally.
Pus, I'm just pus means infection.
No, I would open up an abscess and drain it any day of the week versus having to deal with human feces. Whoa.
Oh. So there's an X-Files episode and also on Grindhouse Planet Terror. There is a scene with an exploding boil.
Of course you have watched Grindhouse Planet Terror. Of course you have. Of course.
And of course I remember specific episodes of the X-Files. I just when a boil explodes and it lands on somebody else's face, I'm just it's over.
Oh my god, I totally had that happen to me last year. It didn't hit my face, it hit my name badge, and I was like, I'm gonna be really casual and just take my name badge off and I'll take it and sanitize it later, but this is really gross.
Oh no, everything I was wearing would go in the trash and I would set it on fire.
Now see, that's the way I would feel if I had to handle human feces. Thank God I don't work in the lab.
Oh God, and like nurses, like especially nurses like you who've worked in an ER probably have really horrendous stories.
Uh, there was a code that I worked one time, and people usually vomit when you're doing CPR because you're pumping air into their
Yeah.
stomach. You don't want to, but you do.
Hmm.
This person, who unfortunately did not make it, had eaten breakfast at one of the local restaurants, and I was like, don't think I need to eat there ever again. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, still can't eat there. If I went back to
So
that community, I'd be like, nope, take me anywhere but there.
this, I knew this was coming because he peed into the trash can last episode, and I was like, okay, I know it's the next episode is like it's got to be my second favorite scene in the entire series. My favorite scene is the very final scene, I will tell you that. But this is my second favorite scene just because it's like it's such a human moment. It's such a like it's terribly embarrassing, but really what else are you gonna do? Go in your pants? Like
This
they're
episode of Biters brought to you by Dr. Pimple Popper and Trauma Life in the ER.
and Charmin. Sorry about the shortage. Oh my God, all of my grocery stores in town, we have like 4 kind of major grocery stores. We have a Safeway, a Fred Meyer's, and then we have like 2 kind of local ones. They are like out of paper towels. What is going on?
Really? I was able to find paper towels pretty easily today.
Oh, and it's not even just like that I buy a very specific paper towel. They're out, like Fred Meyer's is out of everything. Safeway had 2 super off generic scratchy paper towels. And finally, one of the local ones had the paper towels that I use, but they were still like the shelves were pretty much cleared out because the paper towels that I use are kind of expensive.
Do you use Viva? That's what I use.
I do.
Yes.
I love Viva.
Oh, I got them for like $5 off today. Now we're totally being housewives.
But no, what is going on? Like we don't have a toilet paper shortage anymore. All of a sudden we have a paper towel short. Like what is going on? I know it's COVID. I know, but that's just crazy. Like I get the Clorox wipe shortage, but yeah.
No. Yeah.
So our good was the same.
So what was your bad?
I will bet that our bad is the same.
I don't know. Mine's fairly small, but fairly glaring.
Okay, so mine's pretty big and pretty glaring. My bad, and like it's like a good bad. Like
No, you get a good ugly. You don't get a good bad. It's got to be a bad bad.
Oh, it is bad. It's pretty McPerfster Joplin. Oh, him watching Veronica in the shower. Ugh.
He's horrid. So I do have to say that one of the comments that I wrote in Rotting Potpourri was, is he trying to have end of the world sex? Ooh, yes he is.
Well, and he knows that she's with Marky, and like he's still like, oh, let me rub your shoulder.
I know the whole it's acupressure. It's good for tension. Yeah. Not for me. It's not.
Can I make you a cup of chai? And then he like goes and like. This hands down his pants and he's all creepy watching her and like I'm just like, oh my God, you are so horrible. And then like he was like not only was like he horrible in this episode that he was pervy McPervster, but then like he was totally just gonna let Grayson like run around the garden and
I mean her point that no, our people are coming back.
Yeah, and he was totally wussing out. I mean, Veronica, Little Miss, like, pink frilly dresses and long blonde hair extensions, you know, she's like, no, we got to take this thing out. Here's the plan, you know? And he's just, Joplin's horrendous, and he just, ugh.
And so he actually was one of the characters that got horrifically worse all of a sudden. Like, I kind of sort of thought Joplin was okay in the first 2 episodes, and then this episode I was like, he is revolting.
Yeah, you felt kind of bad for him because, like I've said, like they always have like 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 or 4 like housemates who are like decades older than the rest. You know, you have these like there's been some that like are just newly 18, you know, just adults, quote unquote, that come into the house. And then you have someone who's like 55 or something.
Hey, now, you're getting a little close there, sister.
No, and I'm saying those two people like really usually aren't going to click. Because of course the 18-year-olds that they choose are very vapid.
You know, I actually did just hear a podcast that said that middle-aged women are hooking up with younger men because neither one of them is into commitment, and they're both totally into pleasure. So it can happen. Just saying.
I'm actually watching a series on Netflix called The Duchess. And the one lady is like, why can't I find a guy who just wants to have sex once a week? And her friend's like, because you're over 30. It's like, all the guys over 30 want to settle down.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm not on the market. You'd know better than I would.
Yeah, I'm not on the market yet.
Listed soon, though.
I have to do some self-care and some self-improvement first. So
renovation.
Yeah, there you go. Some renovation. I love it. This house needs some trim.
Gotta up that market value.
Oh my god. All right, let's go to my bad, which has nothing to do with my divorce.
Or anything pervy. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. What is your bad?
Well, so my bad is, how did Kelly get so good with a gun? It completely took me out of the moment. And I actually really, for the most part, very much enjoyed this episode. It was very fast-paced. I actually liked the fast camera, shaky camera work. It was okay. It added to it. It didn't detract from it. But I was like, okay, she shot the cop. Okay, I can deal with that. No, she totally, like, got Angel in the head first shot. How did she get so good? So handguns are not a common thing in the UK.
No.
It's not like they're a dime a dozen like they are in America. It's not like shooting on the Moors hunting with your father translates to handling a handgun. So, yeah, kind of took me out of it.
Yeah. And
she's an middle-class British girl who works on a television show. How did she get so good?
No clue. I think I kind of had the same point about Alex last episode.
But
because
I'm still willing to give Alex the benefit of the doubt because we don't have her backstory.
Right.
And it was a long gun, not a pistol.
I totally agree with you. Pistols are a little more difficult to shoot. You really do have to sight in your shot.
Which, by the way, you need to get up here so I can shoot my pew 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 because I need
your noisy
some time.
Cricket?
My noisy cricket. I need some time and I ain't getting it from the other housewife, so...
Well, and I could probably bring mine, just not through TSA. That's a whole other side story.
That was an evil cackle.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the other housewife is no longer listening, so yeah.
Yeah. Our other housewife was rushing to our father's bedside.
No, our mother's bedside.
What's that?
Our mother's bedside.
What was it? Oh, no?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Dad had just died and Mom had a heart attack. And so she was rushing to her bedside and, like, literally was like, you know, she booked a ticket and, like, she was leaving in, like, 3 hours. So, like, ran home, packed clothes, like, went to the airport and...
had a 380 in her purse.
Yeah, a loaded one.
Yeah.
TSA was not amused, but I have to say that Anchorage PD was totally chill with it.
Because everybody in Alaska carries a loaded handgun in their purse.
Unlike
in the UK.
Even Uber lib chicks like us carry. So, but yeah, I think she had a pretty good sob story, and I don't think she's gonna get the TSA fine. So, knock on wood.
Could be as high as $13,000. So I hope for her sake she does not get it, because that would suck.
Finally, having gotten TSA pre-check, I would rather pay the $13,000 than lose my TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing is worth its weight.
I'm kind of figuring the next time I travel is when we're going to meet Diana and Steve somewhere at a con, which is at least a year from now. So, here we are. No TSA pre-check for me.
It's good for like 5 years.
All right. What's your ugly?
So my ugly, actually, I have 2 lists, and they are titled Stupid Stuff and Smart Stuff. So, one of my complaints last episode is when Alex and Rick were going into the house, and I was like, why don't they just like tap on the frame of the door, to see if any zombies come running, because they were like sneaking in the door, like, looking around every corner. And I'm like, no, that's not how you do it in a zombie apocalypse. Well, what's her name? The chick that we like. Kelly. She did an amazingly smart thing in the grocery store. She took that can and rolled it down the aisle and to see if anything would pop out. And so I'm like, that's super smart. Like, they're finally learning. And Space stopped, and he was like, let's lock the gate, because they're just going to come. More of them are going to come streaming in if we don't. And I'm like, oh my God, that's super smart. They're thinking. And the cop, Den, shooting Bob. He's like, sorry, Bob, you got bit, you're dead. And just giving, and he wasn't about to give Marky any quarter, even though the thing on his hand is not a bite. Just boom, you're dead. And Veronica's grand plan with taking out Grayson with the sheet and the knife, these are all really smart things. I'm very proud of people. But then we had some people doing some really stupid stuff. So when they told Space, when he parked the van, the other 2 went in to grocery shop. They're like, leave it running. And so the next thing you see is him messing with the radio, not paying attention to his surrounding, which I'm like, oh my God, something is going to come up and reach in and just grab him. No, that doesn't happen. He winds up shutting off the van and getting out. Okay, whatever. And then Grayson not killing Angel. Okay.
Not just Grayson not putting her down, but Grayson untying her.
Yes.
I mean,
he could have left her feet.
I kind of assumed he was a trauma nurse, so I kind of assumed he was smarter than that, but apparently not. So, not that I haven't met some dumb trauma nurses in my day, but, here we are.
The only sympathy that I will give Grayson, I forgot that he had untied her, because I was thinking when I watched it, I was like, you could at least leave her feet tied.
But he still has a really great scar.
But, the only sympathy that I will give him is, it would be just so traumatic to, go in a few hours, going from, being on this reality TV show and everything's fun and parties and drinking and blah, 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 to there was a guy whose head was blown off in front of me, and now Angel is dying in my arms.
And to be fair, she looked sick and she looked scary.
Yeah. But, I can see, having a heart, hesitating, shoving some scissors through her orbital socket, I can see hesitating on that. But, after seeing what I've seen, I'll take it on faith that she's going to reanimate, and she's already dead. So what's it going to hurt if I stab her in the head with a pair of shears?
Good point. First code I ever worked, the ER doc looked at me and said, "You're not going to make them more dead." And I was like, "Oh, fair point."
Yeah.
Fair point.
So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff in this episode that I was like, maybe people who have seen a zombie film, the rolling of the can was just brilliant. But there was some other stuff where I was like, oh my God, dude, just stop messing with the radio for 2 seconds and just look around yourself. Those things are fast. So that was my ugly.
So my ugly was a good ugly. And my ugly was actually related to your bad, which is Veronica. So Joplin got creepier and Veronica got way better.
Yeah.
So I loved that she called him on his crap, that she called him out for being a creeper, that she called him out for being a weenie and for not adhering to a plan. Okay, well, if you're not going to stab them, then you wrap him up in the comforter and I'll stab him.
Yeah. Dude,
I just loved that she was totally like, this is how we're going to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, she was great. I was quite happy with the progression of that character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And baby got back. She's got an American booty. She doesn't have a British booty. Sorry, Victoria. I'm not sure what British booties look like, but here we are.
I was going to say, if you've ever seen anybody from Geordie Shore, which I'm sure you haven't.
No, haven't. Geordie Shore?
What's that?
Geordie Shore?
Yes, it's like our Jersey Shore.
Oh my God, Marnell, you watch such horrible things.
Okay, but the only reason why I know about characters from Geordie Shore is because they were on Big Brother.
Sure.
In fact, Charlotte, who actually
Which, by the way, you can get a BritBox subscription through Amazon now, just so you know. You're welcome.
So there's another kind of like BritBox type thing, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted. So, yeah. But I was able to watch Broadchurch on Netflix. So, like, for now, Netflix is holding me over on getting another stupid streaming service. CBS All Access.
I'm going to let it go. Well, no, I'm not, because I'll probably watch for the second season of Picard. So, there we go.
I really like Lower Decks.
Okay, but you were talking about Geordie Shore. Geordie Shore.
Sorry,
so I derailed you.
So there are some British chicks who are very shapely.
I'm just saying American booties tend to be bigger. At least that's my impression. So, yeah. Veronica's got the whole package, including the hair extensions.
I was going to say, and her character is evolving to be quite self-sufficient and smart.
Yep. Surprising.
Yeah. But I did love when she called him out, when she's like, if you'd asked, because it's like the end of the world, I would have flashed you, but you didn't.
Yep. No, I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Do you have anything for Rotting Potpourri? I think I have just a couple of tiny things.
I actually don't have anything for Rotting Potpourri. Like I said, this episode really spoke for itself. I really liked just about everything that happened in this episode.
So I will comment, and I'm sure I'm going to raise some ire here, but apparently American cops aren't the only racist scary cops. Just saying.
What's up with the guns? The last episode, I think I was like, okay, have we seen the cops, or did I actually go into the next episode? And I had actually gone into the next episode. And I had no idea that they carried serious weaponry. Like a lot of the stuff that I have seen, most cops didn't even carry actual guns. They carry tasers.
I'm not sure if they do. Maybe because it's all of a sudden this horrible emergency situation, they were able to bust into their gun locker.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean,
that's very true.
I am definitely not an expert in British culture, so.
And I didn't even think of that, and that kind of makes me think of the Hollywood shootout. That actually made cops start getting more militarized. It was the late 90s, early 2000s when that whole, I want to say it wasn't actually a gang, but it was like a group of guys robbed. They were kind of pro bank robbers, and they robbed a bank. And I mean, these guys were tricked out in Kevlar, and they had all kinds of, weapons and things like that. And it wound up being a massive shootout in Hollywood, and the cops were completely outgunned. And what they actually did was they basically went into a gun store and went, "Give us your stuff," and they wound up, the gun shop owner, I think he was like basically willingly handing it over because these cops were completely outgunned. I mean, I'm pretty sure the shooters had like armor piercing rounds, and it was going through the engine blocks and everything of the tires. So I mean, the cops could take no cover. They had to take these guys down, and the only thing that was going to do it, I think, they got one guy in the head, and then they were able to get like one guy in like an ankle or something, which took him down, which they were able to then, take him down. But like, so that makes me think that maybe, yeah, these cops did like break into some place and were just like, we need more guns.
I'm thinking that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I would have to comment about is that Marky's obsession about himself in the tabloid. I'm mint in bed. I thought that was really funny.
So, and what I said, I think first episode was when Grayson, when Kelly came into the house and Grayson was like, how am I being perceived outside the house? That's exactly how the housemates are, or is they're so hyper aware and hypersensitive about how they are being perceived outside. So for him to see that like they're printing that he's shite in bed, that's something like ripped from the headlines of Big Brother, I'm sure.
So funny. Ugh. All right. The other thing was just I had commented on this a little bit before, but there was really some good action, like the fast gun sequence with the cops. I really liked. The shaky cam was okay. Putting Grayson down, that was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crunching sound when Veronica went through the skull.
The knife got stuck.
Yes, and so that is completely different from Walking Dead, because we've all joked for years about how their skulls must be like butter because the knife just slips in it. Not in this world. Nope.
Ugh. The only other thing to make it more realistic is invariably when you watch a procedural cop show or FBI Files or something like that, someone who stabs someone repeatedly usually winds up with cuts on their own hand because the knife slips. The hand slips down the knife, and your hand gets all bloody and wet.
Right.
And so, yeah, so, but that's that's so realistic that the knife would get stuck, Ugh.
Yeah, no, it was super crunchy and gross, and I appreciated it.
And I always have to remind myself that these people are experiencing this horrendous trauma because Veronica's help me, what do I do? Meanwhile, Grayson's throat is ripped out.
Right.
There's nothing you can do. There's no stopping the blood flow. There's nothing. There's nothing you can do. Oh.
Yeah, no, it was, all in all, I was pretty happy with this episode. I enjoyed it very much.
Good.
I actually wrote, partway in, I'm not sitting here oh my God, what are you making me want?
I told you that it gets better. And Steve kind of we talked about it a little on the episode for Aim for the Head. He and I both agree that it ends very well. So...
Very good. Well, we have 2 more episodes, and we have to figure out, so we can easily do one next week, and then I think we might be running into Walking Dead and the World Beyond.
So I think that we should try and do an episode 4 later this week, and then episode 5 on next Monday.
Okay, so the earliest I'm going to be able to do it, and this, now we're totally in housekeeping, is Friday.
Okay.
So...
I'm totally good with that. We will shoot for that because we've been kind of amiss on our podcasting schedule. So back on track.
And we still haven't gotten the Housewives up and running, but I swear we will.
Mm-hmm. Because we have a lot to talk about.
Oh my God. Ugh.
And then Yumi and Lilith are becoming a throuple. And we're moving to the Philippines.
By way of Kentucky.
We're starting a distillery. And then she's going to come on our podcast.
And we'll have Huskies and Pibbles.
Yes, Huskies and Pibbles. All right. I think that's it for Dead Set episode 3.
I think so too. I think we've talked about it, like 3 times longer than it actually played. So
almost as long as our episode with Steve and Diana for Aim for the Head.
Oh, no, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Hopefully we will do this again sooner rather than later. But until then, just remember, take it one dead day at a time. Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.